Thank you so much for being here today. Today we are speaking with Simon Frubis, who is an interaction designer specialized in XR. For the ones who don't know what XR means, it means extended reality. And because of his notable work in research with XR user interfaces with haptics, he's now part of Port 6, where he works in AR solutions for microgestures through wrist-based devices and machine learning. His background is super interesting. He, in fact, has a master's degree as an interaction designer. And today we're going to be learning about his journey, his motivations, and all the challenges that he has been facing, his ups and downs. And that is going to be super, super great for us that we are in the field inspired by Simon. Thank you so much, Simon, for being here today. Please let us know, how did you get started in this amazing field?
Thanks, first of all, for this introduction. Yeah, how is it to study in this field? Yeah, it's, I think, very innovative and future thinking like. I like to study in this field because I love to conquer unsolved problems, and I love to, don't know, explore this new fields where we don't have best practices, where we don't have explored ways to handle them. And yeah, there's, I think, nothing more exciting than being part of that. And that's why I think I decided to study interaction design. Yeah. And before my master's, I studied digital media management, communication. And that's also my background from before. I was in the field of digital marketing, did like UI, UX design, created websites, did a bit of coding, but it was more like focused on design and the user experience in itself. And yeah, and that was the reason why I also wanted to study interaction design, because I love to make the user experience of users in front of technology as crisp and useful as possible. And yeah, and I think I stumbled over XR in 2017 when I had, it was before my bachelor's degree, when I tried out first apps with mobile, like Metaio and Junaio. I played around with first mobile lenses and thought there's so much potential behind that. But I yeah, tried it out and was super inspiring. And I felt like this technology needs to be explored more. And I made it to a topic for my bachelor thesis. It was about a mixed reality car configurator for urban car dealer stores. And yeah, but I knew that at that time I'm not, or that the technology is not ready yet, and neither am I. So I created just the concept and the business part behind it and the storyboards, but I wasn't ready for prototyping. And with my master thesis, actually with my master thesis, I started to dive deeper into this development. I don't know, should I continue talking or do you have questions?
Yeah, no, it's so fascinating. The journey is always the most exciting part, like how one thing took you to the other one and how you were able, to navigate through them, challenges and all. So from there, what was the very first thing that you actually started to prototype, and why did you choose that?
Good question. I think, I remember it was, I was very inspired by the spoiler menu, the hand menu from Leap Motion, the first prototype from this project North Star thing, where a slider was popped out of the hand. and I felt like I want to recreate this, and I want to see if I'm able to do that, and if I'm able to handle all this environment in Unity and this framework that I found, MRTK. It's called the Mixed Reality Toolkit from Microsoft. And yeah, I jumped through examples and tried to find something that is most similar to my idea. And I tried to adapt it in a way that it creates this animation that I want to have. And it worked at the end. And I was very, very surprised that me, as designer who actually has no real coding background, is able to create something interactive like that. And at that point, I realized, okay, when you want something badly enough, you can do it. And the tools out there are ready. And there's Oculus Quest 2 for prototyping. And there are a bunch of tutorials on YouTube. And yeah, it's possible. And it's even for designers like me.
Yeah, that sounds super exciting. That part that you mentioned there, particularly, you don't need, like the full background in coding at this point to be able to make something work. Can you expand a little bit on what type of tools are available now for that can actually assist designers or people who is new in the field for that purpose? Thank you.
Yeah. This whole design perspective on XR was, or the tool landscape was very small before 1 or 2 years. I don't know when I started. I struggled a lot to find the right tools, and actually to find tools at all that served my needs. But I stumbled first over Tvori. It's kind of a 3D storyboarding tool for CGI movies, or actually for movies of all type. And their goal was to recreate something like After Effects, or the timeline from After Effects with keyframes for VR. And I used that to prototype hand user interfaces. So just I animated my hand, I animated the UI. And so I actually used it for another purpose, for UI design or UX design in XR, and not for storyboarding for movies. And yeah, there were also other tools like maquettes, or what else? Tilt brush, and what else? Yeah, I actually have a list on my in my Notion. I always share this kind of design resources everywhere. There's a list of all the tools I went through in my research, and I categorized them. Maybe I can open them quite quickly. And yeah, one moment, just a second. When I used Tvori in that time, the creators of that, they created at the same time another tool called Shapes XR. It was, the first name of it was Tvori for Quest, I think. But yeah, I was one of the first beta testers, and I worked closely with them to tell them my needs and what would be good to have as interaction designer for XR. And that was a very nice time, because I could shape a bit with them together the tool. And yeah, and
That's
from now,
very exciting, for sure. So does Tivori still is available for anyone who wants to try it? I know Shapes XR is, but how about Tivori?
Tvori is free to use now, but they don't continue it. So probably I don't know if it's still compatible with Quest 2, but it can be. but the thing is, you need a PC. So it's not ready for standalone usage. So Quest 2 with a link cable and a PC, that will work. Yeah, but actually for the purpose of prototyping for XR, Shapes XR is just perfect, because you can use it also in a collaborative way. You can invite your friends and the class, even 30 people can join there, and you can create also kind of a stop motion storyboard. It's not fully animated, but it's good enough to explain your idea. And yeah, they're expanding the functionalities week per week, and it's very, very nice to see that tools like this come on the market. I just opened my list of design tools. So there was also like Quill. Quill is also a brush tool like Tilt Brush. Now there's OpenBrush. It's the most advanced painting, VR painting tool at the moment. Shout out to Mike. He was a co-worker with me, and he's the creator of that. Then there's Masterpiece Studio, and that's, I think, the high-end storyboard animation 3D thing for VR. I never used it because it was quite expensive, but now they have also a free option to test it. That's pretty nice. And Arcio is for architectures or clients of them to show your city plan and import your building and fly through it. It's very, very nice tool. Arcio is just a crisp tool for VR, and it shows the potential of VR and AR in a very nice way. Love it. There's also Gravity Sketch. This is more for 3D sculpting, or some jobs like car design, or yeah, you can create your 3D shape, your custom 3D shape. And if you don't want to do these detail work, then Shapes XR is the go-to platform. There you have ready-made assets, and you can import your OBJs and also export your stuff to Unity. So this is like one of the easiest tool, I would say, as designer, to jump on the train and to try out or to create your ideas. And yeah, that's also the tool where I would start if you have no plan of anything. And yeah, and then I would go to Unity 3D to create the interactive parts. So I use for low fidelity and mid fidelity and high fidelity, I use Figma, FigJam for idea creation, and Shapes XR for mid fidelity prototyping and doing the storyboard part. And for high fidelity interactive prototyping, I use Unity 3D. Yeah, and with MRTK. So I don't create everything from scratch. I use MRTK. It's kind of a framework from Microsoft that gives me possibilities to create UIs made for hand interactions, and it's ready for HoloLens, for Quest 2, and with OpenXR, it will be open for any other platform. And there is a new kind of framework from Oculus or from Meta called Interaction SDK, and there I'm also very excited to try it. I didn't try it yet, but the videos are very promising, and yeah. And if you need tutorials, I can highly recommend Dilma. Dilma is the XR guru, or the XR tutorial guru out there, and he's creating wonderful tutorials for Unity with all these frameworks, and also different kind of headsets, and that makes the onboarding much easier, because nobody wants to read through docs in the first time, or at the first time. You need some endorphin kicks at the beginning, or dopamine, I don't know, dopamine kicks in the beginning to keep the motivation high. And yeah.
Sounds great. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. My other question would be, what type of books have inspire your career? What type of books do you love that you say, oh, that is like a must have for people who wants to jump into XR?
Yeah. I liked a lot the book, The Design of Everyday Things from Don Norman. It's actually a pretty old book and it's not related to VR or XR in total, but XR has, or the rules, the design rules of XR are very similar to all the things that he's talking about, the design of products, the design of physical products in front of you. And it doesn't matter if they are real or if they are virtual. So you can apply these design principles from him one by one to VR. And that makes it so wonderful. I love the principles of creating affordances, creating signifiers to guide users. Also, what else was important in this book? Yeah, I can't remember at the moment, but this is a very, very nice book. I can recommend to every interaction designer, also for other kind of design, like 3D design, like also 2D design. It's interesting. Yeah, and then there's also another book called Brave New World, called Designing Natural User Interfaces for Touch and Gesture. And but there I haven't dived deep into it, but I can recommend it because I dived into several chapters and they were pretty nice in terms of like problems like the open mic problem. With your hands, you're interacting always also with other stuff, and how can you create, or how can you tell the technology that you are doing a gesture at the moment, and or that you are doing something else? It needs to differentiate between, is it a gesture or is it my everyday thing that I'm doing? The same for eye tracking. And there's several interaction problems that are not solved yet, and these kind of books show them. And I think now it's the time for interaction designers to explore them further, to create experiments, prototypes, to make it more intuitive and more natural in these kind of universes of XR and AR and VR.
Thank you so much. This is so exciting. There is many people outside who is super interested about this field, and they are even in the field of design already. But XR is another type of level in the design also. So another layer. So how somebody can jump into that? Like, you have set yourself as a perfect example for this, because you were more in digital media, but then you explore more about XR. What would be your advice for someone starting out? Like, where or how do they do it in order to start creating these amazing opportunities and jump into extended reality, design for extended reality?
I think the hardest time was with myself, having not enough courage to, or I always felt like I'm not enough for this. I'm not enough for coding. I'm not good enough for that, and I can't do that. And Unity, it's such a big world, and I'm afraid to get closer to it. This was before it, but my advice is start with the tools that you are most familiar with. Start with the tools that you like most and try to create first rewarding prototypes, first easy, simple ideas, like just something is changing a color with a hand wave or something, or open an example and change something like you wanted to change. And and there are wonderful tutorials out there that helps you, and don't be too hard on yourself, because in the coding world, nothing will be so fast, and the outcome, the visual outcome, won't be so fast like in the design world. In the design world, you can just do drag and drop, and things are changing in Figma, for example. But I had to get familiar with the thought that when I want to achieve something with Unity, it can be a very slow process until I see the visual outcome, and until I see the visual interaction that I want to do. And it helped me to tell myself, it is part of the process that it takes so long. It is part of the process that I need to Google this, and for the next problem, I need to Google it again. And so there was a step or a stair to, or a tree of Googling to actually reach, to actually solve my first problem. I had to solve 5 other problems, and it's just part of the game. And that's also a reason why you should start simple, to get familiar with this mindset and to get familiar with that in this field of XR and or Unity and using these kind of frameworks. And especially at the beginning, where you have no experience, things are slow, very slow and annoying, and you have to do troubleshooting, because Unity is such a complex tool where you will always be confronted with error messages. You will always have error messages, and it's totally normal. Totally normal. And for every error message, there is a solution in the internet. And yeah, and things are getting easier and easier with the time, because more and more people are jumping on this train, and there are more standards that you have less troubleshooting. And I imagine when I started with Unity and Oculus Quest 2 and MRTK, there wasn't even a compatible version from Microsoft, but there was a port from Eric Pringer, who provided an Oculus Quest 2 port. So I was very in a field where I felt like, oh, everything is so new and so buggy. I feel very lost. But yeah, I got used to that, and I realized that the industry was working on that. And also things, I get familiar with that things are changing from week to week, and even from week to week. So stay up to date with the docs and the versions of Unity, of MRTK, of all these things, to prevent more troubleshooting. Yeah.
Wow, amazing. Yes. It's every day we don't realize, but right now the industry is working very diligently in advancing in the headsets, in the AR glasses. While we are talking, there are advances that are happening, and also for people facilitating the content creation, like Meta is doing, like creating this type of tools that allow people to create their own environments very fast by using artificial intelligence and so machine learning. So yeah, that's amazing. One of my last questions for you would be, how does a normal day look like for you? Like how it would be for someone who wants to jump? Like we know that you're with Port 6, like what type of things do you do, or how is your day? How does it look like?
Yeah, Port 6 is a quite new startup, but the team is amazing. We are around 10 people at the moment. And we are trying to solve or improve the AR input problem, because there's a lack of discrete natural input solutions. And we're working on devices, wrist-based devices, or at the moment we are pretty close to launch the Port 6 SDK, and it will be able to track micro gestures like your pinch gesture without any optical tracking. So You can do pinch gestures or clench, and all is tracked by your by the sensors of your watch, like Samsung Galaxy Watch, and maybe in the future also Apple Watch. We are working on that, and my job there is at the moment spreading the word that we are working on that, and after that I will create demos for it. So my goal is to inspire other developers to use this tool, show them what it is capable of, and yeah, creating wonderful user experiences for AR in the future. And yeah, we are searching for XR developers and XR marketing gurus. So if anybody out there want to work with me and has some experience in this field, let me know. We work fully remote. So I work fully remote from Berlin, and you can do that as well from where you live. Yeah, just hit me up.
That's amazing. That's so great. It's been such an inspirational, moment to get to listen directly from you, how the journey has been and how you've been, trying to manage with those challenges. For example, many designers at this moment might be having the same feeling that you were. Okay, I know how to design in 2D, but it seems like for XR, in order to manage, to create the screens, to create interactions, to create effects and all of these, you need some coding. So that confusion might be very relatable for some people. And I'm very glad that you brought this here and discussed that sometimes it's a matter of looking for ways and opening up that as it might seem at the moment a roadblock, it might be also an opportunity. So it's also the way how we see things. So that encouragement and that inspiration is very awesome. Thank you so much for sharing that amazing work that you've been doing. You are such an inspiration for many people at the moment. Thank you so much. Thanks. I wonder if is there anything that you wish I had asked you today, Simon?
Maybe that I have a link of design resources that could be valuable for the people who listen to this. The best would be go to my LinkedIn and or Twitter. I have a link somewhere in my bio, and there's my Notion sheet with all the learnings that I had. I also collected all the valuable links when I started deep diving into Unity, about my hardware setup, about Spotify playlists, other interviews that I made where I talked about my journey and about hand user interfaces and all this XR design tools, and in which process I use what of the design thinking process. Yeah, I think this could be helpful for you.
Sounds super great. Yeah, that's usually, like, we always put all of these links. So actually, if you can send me those links again, or if you haven't sent them yet, of course, we're going to make sure that we have that very, very there specific in the description of every episode. And we're going to be sharing this because your work is amazing. And all of these resources that with all of this effort you have collected over many years are going to be very valuable for many people. Thank you so much for doing this. And thank you so much for taking the time to be talking with us today about your amazing experience as an interaction designer and now specializing in XR.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
Thank you so much, Simon, and see you in the next episode. Bye for now.